Hello, students, and welcome to part one of our lecture on Chapter 4, The Triumph of Industry. We're going to be covering the years 1850 to 1900. So we're going to be starting a few years before the Civil War and going up into the end of the 19th century. So we're going to start out talking about life after the Civil War. American society was completely transformed by the Civil War. In fact, many historians argue that nothing has ever happened in our country to change our nation the way that the Civil War did. The biggest thing is that America became completely industrialized. Now, this grew out of the English Industrial Revolution, which had started a couple hundred years before this. However, the speed at which it happened and the extent to which it happened in the United States was remarkable and unparalleled in the rest of the world. One reason for this is because of the old saying that necessity is the mother of invention. Because we were fighting a war and because both sides had to find different ways to do things quicker and easier and faster in order to try to win the war, new inventions were made, new processes were figured out, companies tried things different ways. So products were made more quickly and efficiently. For example, food could be shipped further, canned food, preservation of food. These types of things were invented and were improved upon during the Civil War. Railroads greatly expanded. They had to build, especially in the North, had to build railroads to try to transport troops, weapons, equipment, materials, and so forth. So these things all helped the United States become industrialized. Now, our industrialization was fueled really by four things. The Civil War was kind of the catalyst for it, but we had four main ingredients in this country that allowed it to happen: natural resources, workforce, capitalism, and government policies. And we're going to talk about each of those. We'll start with natural resources. The United States has been blessed with probably, I would argue, some of the best and greatest natural resources in the world. We don't really have the most of any one particular thing, but we have a lot of many different things: coal, oil, natural gas, and the list goes on. These things are plentiful in the United States. We also have plenty of forests and riverways. As an example, in 1859, Edwin Drake drilled the first oil well in Titusville, Pennsylvania. And as we move forward through history after 1859, oil becomes very, very important, and we'll discuss that in later chapters as well. Number two is a workforce. Many immigrants from Europe and Asia came to the U.S. after the Civil War to find work. One reason for this is that the South needed rebuilt. To rebuild the South, they needed labor. And immigrants were willing to work for extremely low wages, lower wages than Americans were willing to work for. And the same really holds true today. And that's one connection we can make to today, is that we have immigrants coming here for the same thing, to find job opportunities, willing to work for a lower wage, than what Americans are willing to work for. So we had a very, very productive workforce made up of immigrants and native-born Americans. And we also had then and still have today a system of capitalism. Now, capitalism is a system in which the people, not the government, own property and the means of production. People create businesses, not the government. And because of this, there is a profit incentive. People can make money, and this gives them the incentive to create businesses, make new inventions, and do these types of things. There was a man during this time named Horatio Alger. He was an author, and he wrote popular rags to riches stories. These were books about people that started life very poor and through hard work became very rich. People loved to read these books because they themselves hoped to one day be in that situation. Now, those that start a business for profit are called entrepreneurs. This is a term you need to know: people who invest money in a profit or business in a product or business in order to make a profit. And number four is government policies. We had a government that was willing to help people become rich. The government wanted the people to make money and be prosperous, just as they do today. For example, they gave land to the railroads so they could quickly connect the East Coast to the West Coast. They had protective tariffs, which are very high taxes on imported goods, which made people want to buy American-made products because American-made products would be a little cheaper. And we have had and still have today in general laissez-faire policies, which means, this is French for let it be. This means minimal government intervention. The government keeps their hands off of the economy to a large extent and lets the economy work on its own. Thank you for watching.